Welcome back to the show, everybody. It's Dina Calmette here, and for today's show, normally I bring you guys a good news report every other week, but today I'd like to focus on the headlines. There are a lot of reports out there, and it is difficult to keep up. They're happening constantly, simultaneously, and so that means that we're watching Bible prophecy come to pass right before our very eyes. So for today, I'd like to focus on the headlines. And in fact, I'd like to take you to this first report written by Michael Schneider of the most important news. And he is reporting that the floods are continuing. How much flooding is it going to take before people realize that something truly out of the ordinary is going on? This month, we have been hammered by 1,000-year storms and 1,000-year floods over and over again. In his previous article, Michael documented 13 catastrophic flooding events in just 13 days. Unfortunately, that wasn't the end of it. In fact, we were just hit by 4 more catastrophic flooding events within 48 hours. In the entire history of our country, we have never seen anything like what we have witnessed this month. Every region of the U.S. has been repeatedly hit by major flooding, and there seems to be no end in sight. Just on Friday, 6 inches of rain fell on one area of Chicago in less than 2 hours. And as a result, there was tremendous flooding. Within 90 minutes, the total had reached 2.77 inches. In Bridgeview, more than 6 inches of rain fell in less than 2 hours, overwhelming storm drains and flooding streets. On Saturday, 10 inches of rain caused historic flooding in Lincoln County, Missouri. The flooding in Lincoln County was so bad that researchers in boats were going door to door to pull people out of their homes. Also on Saturday, violent flooding hit Ruidoso, New Mexico for the second time this month. In this instance, the rapidly moving floodwaters actually picked up an entire mobile home and swept it away. New Mexico is not normally known for flooding, but now everything is changing. And on top of everything else, several inches of rain within just a couple of hours caused widespread flash floodings in 3 Ohio counties just on Saturday night. Michael goes on to say, when I was growing up, thunderstorms were considered to be just a nuisance. But in our time, they have become so violent that they can often be life-threatening. Of course, they wouldn't be such a problem if we hadn't built millions upon millions of homes in FEMA flood zones. In Louisiana, a nation leading 23% of properties are located in FEMA flood zones. In Florida, it's about 17%. Arkansas, New Mexico, and Nebraska are perhaps the less expected members of the top 10, as in New Jersey, which with New York City saw torrential rain and flooding in which 2 people died earlier in the month. Texas ranks 7th in the country with about 800,000 properties, or roughly 6.5% of the state's total sitting in a flood zone. What in the world happened to common sense? If you currently own a home that is located in a FEMA flood zone, you might want to think about relocating, because our weather is only going to get wilder. And it's just not happening in the United States. 2 weeks ago, flooding was a major problem all over China. Overnight rain in China dumped a record 145 millimeters per hour on Fuping County in the industrial city of Boending. China's water ministry issued targeted flood warnings to 11 provinces and regions. Are we getting the picture yet? We truly are living in apocalyptic times, and things are only going to get a whole lot crazier. The truth is that all of the flooding that we are experiencing is just one element of the perfect storm that we have now entered. Everything that can be shaken will be shaken. And this period of history is about to get quite a bit more interesting. You know what? He's right. It is going to get much more interesting and much more hotter. It is being reported that nearly half the U.S. will be under hot, sticky conditions through the bulk of the week as temperatures and humidity soar from Chicago to New York City and New Orleans, boosting power demand and, of course, raising health risks. Heat advisories and extreme heat warnings stretch from Nebraska to Long Island, from New Hampshire to northeast Texas. Temperatures are expected to reach over 100 degrees in Dallas-Fort Worth this week. Tampa hits 100 degrees for the first time in recorded history. In the meantime, things are heating up in Israel. According to data from the Meteorological Service, the temperature at the weather station in the Dead Sea region reached a yearly high of 115.7 Fahrenheit, just 3 degrees shy of the all-time record for the area. In the Jordan Valley and around the Sea of Galilee, temperatures ranged from 109.4 to 111.2 Fahrenheit. In Tel Aviv, an extreme heat stress index was recorded, with the mercury hitting 91.4 Fahrenheit and humidity levels soaring to 70%. Now, the Macquarie Island has been seeing some activity. On July 25th, they were hit with a 6.2 earthquake, and then on July 26th, they were hit with another 6.2 earthquake. In the Southern Ocean, Macquarie Island is being slammed. It had a 6.9 on July 28th. On July 24th, there was a 6.6 earthquake that hit the Samoa Islands region. A strong and shallow 6.5 earthquake hit Nicobar Islands in the India region on July 28th. The Watchers is reporting that on July 23rd, a powerful tornado ripped through City Beach in Western Australia as a severe storm moved through Perth, bringing hail, damaging winds, and flooding. The tornado developed from a rapidly intensifying supercell along the coast, catching authorities off guard and leaving behind a trail of destruction. Typhoon Komay made its second landfall in Canton City in the Philippines on July 25th, weakening into a severe tropical storm as it crossed the region. At least 25 people have perished and 8 remain missing in the Philippines following the severe flooding and landslides triggered by the southwest monsoon rains that were enhanced by tropical cyclones. In the meantime, seismic activity increases at the Lutobi Laki-Laki volcano in Indonesia. Apparently, on July 25th, there were 34 volcanic eruptions of multiple types. Over in Australia, a toxic algae bloom affecting South Australia's coastline since March 2025 has killed more than 14,000 marine animals and spread across 500 kilometers, prompting the state government to declare a natural disaster. Experts describe it as one of the worst harmful algae bloom events in Australia's recorded history. But this is also a current prophecy that's coming to pass, unfortunately. In the book of Hosea, chapter 4, verses 1 through 3, God says, "Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel. For the Lord has a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out, and blood toucheth blood. Therefore shall the land mourn, and every one that dwelleth therein shall languish, with the beasts of the field and with the fowls of heaven, yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away." So right here we read that 14,000 marine animals have died due to this toxic algae bloom. Prophecy coming alive right before our very eyes. A large fire originating in a clothing warehouse severely damaged at least 10 homes in Chile on July 4th. The blaze began around 8:30 local time and displaced 50 people. Speaking of fires, Turkey has been hit by fresh wildfires, leaving 1,500 people to evacuate their homes, while at least 3 have been reported that have perished. Residents in Bursa received early warnings on Sunday about severe wildfires spreading through forested mountains in northwest Turkey. The fires quickly moved across the area, prompting the evacuation of over 1,700 people from nearby villages. In the past 48 hours, at least 76 fires were reported across the country. A team of researchers in California drew notoriety last year with an aborted experiment on a retired aircraft carrier that sought to test a machine for creating clouds. But behind the scenes, they were planning a much larger and potentially riskier study of saltwater spraying equipment that could eventually be used to dim the sun's rays. A multi-million-dollar project aimed at producing clouds over a stretch of ocean larger than Puerto Rico. The details outlined in the funding requests, emails, texts, and other records obtained by Politico and E&E News raised new questions about a secretive, billionaire-backed initiative that oversaw last year's brief solar geoengineering experiment on the San Francisco Bay. They also offered a rare glimpse into the vast scope of research aimed at finding ways to counter the Earth's warming, work that has often occurred outside of public view. Well, such research is drawing increased interest at a time when efforts to address the root cause of climate change are facing setbacks in the US and Europe. But the notion of human tinkering with the weather and climate has drawn a political backlash and generated conspiracy theories, which adds to the challenges of mounting even small-scale tests. Why are they messing with our sun and clouds? Could it be possible that these experiments are linked somehow to the catastrophic events that we have been seeing across the globe? Because let's be honest, you guys, these events have been off the charts for 2025. It's definitely a possibility. But then if we go back to scripture, Jesus did say that it would be as it were in the days of Noah and Lot before his return. And that is exactly what we are seeing. Which brings me to my next report. It is being reported by Prophecy Newswatch as well as Prophecy Recon that people are actually falling in love with AI. You heard me right. People are falling in love with a robot. AI companions, as Scott Townsend and I have long warned, society is rapidly descending into a digital illusion of intimacy, with over 20% of daters now using AI to craft profiles or start conversations, and millions forming emotional and even romantic bonds with AI bots like Replica and Character AI. The lines between authentic human connection and synthetic simulation are vanishing. This isn't just a fad. It's a fundamental shift in how people understand love and relationships. Alarmingly, 72% of U.S. teens are engaging with AI companions, and a growing number view these relationships as viable replacements for human ones. The cultural tide is moving swiftly towards a dystopia where people fall in love not with souls, but with software. Proponents argue that AI companions offer consistent, judgment-free validation. But this love is algorithmic, not authentic. What begins as emotional support quickly becomes emotional substitution, bypassing the trials, trust, and truth that define real relationships. Worse, the dangers go beyond deception. They threaten to desensitize users to human interaction, morality, and even physical intimacy. As AI becomes a tool for sexual fantasy and emotional dependency, the risk of reinforcing aggressive, non-consensual behavior grows. So what is the fruit of this digital entanglement? A generation disconnected from reality, conditioned to seek comfort in code rather than Christ. This is not progress. It's preconditioning for a world that will one day welcome deception with open arms. You know, it's really not that surprising that we are witnessing this in this day and age, but I hope people realize that they're forming relationships with a machine. It has no soul, nor does it have any feelings. Now, it could be argued that it could have a spirit. I've heard of some pretty creepy things out there of what ChatGPT told people to do. So definitely use your discernment. And I'm not anti-AI or anything like that. In fact, it is a very powerful tool if you utilize it in the way it was intended. So use discernment, you guys. But I would like to move along and talk about what is happening in the heavens. Do you remember that interstellar object that I reported on just a couple of weeks ago? Well, now scientists are saying that it is much bigger than originally thought. Earlier this month, astronomers confirmed something extraordinary and more than a little unsettling. A massive fast-moving object from outside our solar system is now racing toward inner planets at a jaw-dropping speed of 130,000 miles per hour. Dubbed 31 Atlas, it is only the third known interstellar object ever discovered and nearly 7 miles wide. It is the largest by far. To put it plainly, a mountain-sized visitor from another star system is passing through our cosmic neighborhood. And while scientists debate its origin and composition, a deeper question looms. Is this simply a natural wonder or a supernatural warning? Harvard astronomer A.B. Loeb, well known for his theories about extraterrestrial intelligence, stirred headlines again by suggesting that the 31 Atlas may not be a comet at all, but alien technology, a kind of space probe slowing down for a closer look at Earth and Jupiter. Loeb notes that its extreme speed and steep trajectory don't line up neatly with natural explanations. But critics have dismissed such ideas as fantasy. Yet even skeptical astronomers admit that this object is highly unusual, not just for its size and speed, but for its strange approach angle, one that seems almost too direct to be random. Whether it's a comet or a cold rock flung from a dying star system, one thing is certain: humanity is being reminded of its fragility. And the most chilling detail of all is the size. Using new data from the Vera C. Rubin Observatory, researchers now estimate that it is more than 7 miles wide, making it larger than Mount Everest, and more than 10 times the size of the interstellar object, which sparked similar debates in 2017. Now this matters because Scripture speaks with eerie precision of just such an object. Revelation chapter 8 verse 8 declares something like a great mountain, burning with fire, was thrown into the sea. For centuries, this verse was seen as either poetic imagery or spiritual symbolism. But now, here in our lifetime, we are witnessing the arrival of a literal mountain from the stars ablaze with gas, dust, and mystery. Is this interstellar object prophesied in Revelation? Likely not, but it is a loud and undeniable echo of what's to come. And it serves as a cosmic reminder that the Bible's warnings are not just metaphor, they are scientifically and prophetically aligned. Jesus himself said in Matthew 24:29 that the heavens would be shaken, the stars would fall, and cosmic distress would signal the end of the age. Revelation tells of hailstorms, fireballs, falling stars, and burning mountains crashing into earth. And now, in our modern era, armed with telescopes, satellites, and predictive models, we see the kind of object the Bible described and realize with fresh clarity the sky isn't silent, it's speaking. The world shrugs and wonders if it's aliens, but believers should see it for what it truly is: a divine megaphone pointing us not to aliens, but to eternal truth. No, this interstellar object isn't going to strike Earth this year, but something like it will at God's appointed time. The only question is when and whether we're ready. And Jesus said in Luke 21 that we would see signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars. And that is exactly what we have been seeing. And as always, I will continue to keep you updated. But I'd love to hear from all of you, so please do leave your comments below this video. And when you have some time, come and visit us on our social media pages, as well as our website at www.cww7news.com. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, God bless and stay safe.